Court records pave a path of violence for 18-year-old Michael Sanchez. This paperwork is from an incident about a month ago. It says Sanchez was driving recklessly under the influence of drugs and alcohol in Buckeye. When police tried to pull him over, he jumped out of the car and took off running. The documents also mention a girlfriend coming to the scene. Family confirms it was 16-year-old Rylee Montgomery. The records say Rylee came to pick Sanchez up that night. She also told officers Sanchez was under the influence of alcohol and drugs because she had broken up with him. Avondale police say 3 weeks ago, they got a report from Buckeye PD about an aggravated assault that happened at a home in Avondale in February. Rylee had reported to officers that Sanchez pointed a gun at her, but after an investigation, police said there wasn't enough evidence to support a charge. Family told us how scared Rylee was of Sanchez.
It's like somebody ripped my freaking heart out. She was so scared of him, and we tried to get her help.
The most recent case is the triple shooting, happening at a home in Buckeye Thursday night. Sanchez accused of shooting Rylee, another pregnant teenager, and a 22-year-old woman. Rylee and her unborn child both died. The other pregnant teen gave birth prematurely in the hospital. Sanchez was arrested at this home in Avondale Friday morning.
Sanchez is due back in court next week where a judge will set bond. And back to that incident in February where Rylee accused him of pointing a gun at her. There's currently an investigation into that paperwork and whether it was delayed in being reported. I've made public records requests for that original report from both Buckeye and Avondale police. I'll keep you posted on what I learn when I get them. In the newsroom tonight, Stephanie Duprey for Arizona's Family.